Welcome to the Workhouse with Balance podcast. I am your girl, Letitia Lux. This is a podcast for the everyday worker, the everyday hustler, and that person that's just trying to balance it all. I am super excited to introduce you guys to the amazing, the fabulous Zay Entertainer. Woo!
Thank you so much. Zay. Hi, guys. Hi, I'm Zai. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Okay, I apologize. We are going to learn all about Zai, the entertainer, and learn all about what they do, how they are contributing, hustling, working, balancing, having fun in this thing called world. So, Zai, introduce yourself. Tell us about you and all that you are.
Oh, you are so kind. Thank you so much, Letitia. You're phenomenal. And I've got to say, your energy is like up there. Like, it's just like, woo.
Love that. Love that for us.
Love it. And you're just gorgeous. I mean, your pictures do not do you justice. I've got to let you know, like, you're beautiful in your pictures. Don't get me wrong, but my God, you're gorgeous.
Thank you, queen.
Thank you for having me here. Oh, thank you. And I've got, my cat just came up and was like, I want to join the live feed
too. Kitty. Come on, Kitty. Hello, Kitty.
She's so cute. She's right here. She's like, can I be on the live feed as well?
It's like I'm the actual star here, Zai. What are we doing?
Exactly. Cats are always queen. You know what I mean? Like, right? So, hi everybody. My name is Zai, and I am an entertainer that is as seen on American Idol, daytime television, ABC Action News, MTV, and so much more. I've been on HSN as a model. I've been a singer all across the world, speak 5 languages. I've been to Japan, and I've been to 42 USA states. And that's just getting started. As of tonight, I got a phone call like right before we were supposed to meet up. So first of all, guys, I have to apologize to Letitia because we were actually supposed to have this live feed from 7 to 8. And then I almost slipped. I have an NDA coming up here. I can't say what show I'm about to be on, but it almost came out. Thank God it's live, but so I had a phone call from a TV show that I'm going to be on. And so it ended up taking way longer than I expected. And then right before we were supposed to meet, I got a phone call from our agency and they just promoted me to an executor. So I just became an executor. Thank you so much. So it's just like mind blowing. So you were asking, you're like, how do you balance? And the truth is that it's a very interesting balance because I am actually a mother of 2 on top of everything else. So, and especially because I live a lot of my life in the limelight, right? So, I've been doing radio for, I don't even know how many years anymore. But I've been on different shows like, 105, The Bone. I've done 106.1. I've been on 93.3 FLZ, all these different spots, and it's for different stuff. It's usually for my music. But it's just, and I also moonlighted at being a radio host for a while. And I had my own radio show where we played other artists, people who were undiscovered, unsigned. And that was beyond fun. Okay. So there's been so many beautiful opportunities I've had, but how do you do all that stuff and still balance it with regular life?
Yeah. How?
So because it takes a lot of time, right? It takes dedication and time. And honestly, the biggest part that I have been able to figure out in my own experience is scheduling. Because without a schedule, without being able to, basically plan your day, there's a saying, right? And it's, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right. And so that's the biggest part of it all is just knowing that whenever you're going to step into anything of your dreams, and guys, let's be real, right? We all have huge dreams and they all, I'm believing, are coming true. But in order to have those dreams burst into reality, we all need to make sure that we're planning to make sure that we leave that time for that success. Because, for example, if you are saying I want to be on American Idol one day, right? When I was a little girl, I scrolled, I was on YouTube all day long and I was like, oh, they said that to Simon and Randy. I'd be saying this. I had all these different things, right?
I love it.
Right? I was just I'm like, how do you go from watching it on YouTube to being on TV? Wow. Well, honestly, a lot of it had to do with, again, that plan. There were steps to the plan, right? So for example, if you're like, I want to be on American Idol, but you've never practiced singing,
right?
But you've never taken the time to see what your voice will do, how you're going to take care of your voice, right? Because your voice is an instrument in your body. A lot of people forget that, Letitia. People will just be like, oh, it's your voice, but it's like they forget it's a muscle. And you have to make sure you're taking care of your instrument. So you've got to have that, care time for your voice. You've got to make sure that you have those steps and plans in place. And then you've got to be like, okay, first I'm going to work on my voice. I'm going to leave that time. I'm going to go to my singing lessons. I'm going to make sure that I'm taking care of my vocal health, my physical health. Then you have to make your next plans. What's my brand? What's that brand look like? What am I going to look like? What stage name do I want to go by? What do I want to represent, right? So all of these different things take time and planning long before you ever have to stand in line with thousands and thousands of people and begging for some personal space, right? So there's all these things. And that is one of the biggest parts that I have noticed about even my own success is even when I'm flying by the seat of my pants, which girl, I do. Okay. So, cause it happens, but you still have to make sure you carve that time out. And before you do any of that, when it comes to planning, is also planning for that self-care. Because if you're not taking care of your body, you're not taking care of yourself, it's not going to happen, right? So these are just some of the things that I have discovered in my own self journey. But Letitia, what would you say? What would be like, because you're a boss babe yourself. Okay. So how do you do the work-life balance? What is it that inspires you?
Yeah. Great question. So it's definitely my kids too. I'm a mama bear of 3 myself. And, I have 2 girls and a little boy. So for my girls, it's so important for them to see, so I like to live this boss girl, soft girl life. Like I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm 100% like CEO. Like I'm managing my international team. Like I need my girls to see like, no, you can be bosses, right? Where like you're literally running $1 billion business, but also cater to my husband and say, okay, babe, what would you like? Okay, let me go wash my, make dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't have to choose. Or you can choose, right? Maybe one of my daughters wants to just be a boss. She doesn't want to have to worry about a man or kids or anything. Maybe one of them wants, a husband and doesn't want to think about a company or anything like that. I want them to know that whatever they want out of life, the sky's the limit. They literally can pray. I'm a firm believer. I'm a strong believer in spirituality. I'm very biased, but I'm open to all religions and spiritualities. Anyone that thinks, that there's something out there that's guiding us and that's creating us, like I just honor that, right? To have faith in something bigger than yourself is so, so powerful. So my faith, guides me to let me know, like, you can do this all. But you gotta find, I'm gonna give you the balance. So my God has given me this power, this superpower that people say, oh my gosh, you're like super mom, like you're crazy. But it's, I'm inspired by my kids, empowered by Christ. Like that's like I say that often. It's like my kids inspire me, but like I'm powered by Christ. But I'm so like, first of all, let me just bow down to you, right? Wait, because you just like glossed over like 10 million fun facts. I'm like, wait, hold on. Wait, what? What? Like, everything was like a seat grab. Like, wait, 42 steps. How many languages? What show?
You're so sweet. Thank you so much.
I was like, I need to take notes or something.
Oh my God, you're such an angel. Thank you. Thank you. I've kind of learned, over the years because, people.
You gotta have your pitch. I love that.
Soundbite,
Yes. Okay, so tell us how you got started, like, at least from the work side. We'll kind of break down like the hustle and the balance, but like, how did you get started with all of this? Like the languages, the countries, where did it start? And like, to get to now, whatever. We got time. We got an hour. So
we got plenty of time for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for asking. And first of all, before I say anything, your nails, your hair, your lashes, your smile, just impeccable. I just gotta give credit. So when it came to my life, like I actually had a very unique, I feel like start to my life. So I was actually born to a famous couple. So my mom was actually the runner-up for Mrs. USA. She's Mrs. New York in the in the national beauty pageants, right? So yeah, so anytime that a man has tried to make me feel like I'm ugly, I'm literally the daughter of one of the most
what I'm saying? Like, you gotta put some respect on my crown.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I always remind myself, even in those moments. But yeah, so I was born to obviously somebody who is in the industry, and she actually has so much work when it comes to movies, or she was the lotto girl, back in the day, where there's the pretty girl that would grab the ball out of the lottery machine and win the lottery, and everybody watched because back then, it was gotta read for the Powerball. So, she had all these wonderful accolades, and she had already traveled so much herself. And so by the time that I came along, she was also a boss mama. She had 3 children of her own, and then she also helped raise 2 children on my dad's side. But basically, I literally was born, and then I was modeling immediately. So I have these photos of me in magazines from when I was, I don't know, barely out of diapers. I'm clearly still in diapers, and I was on this bridge almost. And I remember, looking at this picture going, oh my God, I've been doing this for this long. But yeah, so I started with the modeling and the acting there. And then I actually had this crazy opportunity. I did a bunch of things when it came to, again, the modeling side, but then my mom ended up working for Home Shopping Network. And I had this crazy opportunity. I was 8 years old, and they wanted me to come on and sell a donut maker. And they didn't mic me. And they were like, why did we not mic this child? Because they thought I was going to be nervous. They thought I was going to be scared. And I'm up there and I'm laughing. I'm making this donut and stuff. And they were just like, what is this kid? And so after that, my mom kind of realized, she's like, oh, she's not she knew that I wasn't shy, but she was like, oh yeah, no, she can do this. This is definitely a style of work. And so she kind of helped guide me for more of the modeling acting jobs. And that's how I started in commercial work. I've done commercials for the government, random stuff. And then that's how I worked for HSN, and I did B-roll for a bunch of different companies when I was, small. But the singing aspect was, oh man. So just gotta pat myself on the back there. Because when it came to her, her passion, I think my mother is very talented in many ways. But would I ever want to hear her sing? Probably not. I'm not saying that to be mad and mean, but I just mean that it's how they have certain singers where it's they break the glass. That's how it was growing up. So I knew I didn't get my talent from my mom necessarily, but I guess my grandma could kind of sing. Anyway, so ever since I was a little girl, I couldn't stop singing ever. And so during that time period where I was, growing up from 1 to 10, my mom had noticed that I had this gift, but the person who actually noticed that I had the gift was my amazing music teacher who saw my talent and potential. I was only 7 years old. And at 7 years old, I was recruited by a music teacher to join a very prestigious program for Ruth Eckerd Hall. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ruth Eckerd Hall, but it's another Strauss Center or a Broadway in Florida. So it's where all the big stars go to perform. And they heard me at 7, and they're like, yeah, you can have a scholarship.
Yes!
Which is crazy. And at the time when I was a little girl, I was so upset because I was every sleepover, every weekend, I missed because I was working, I was singing, I was doing this stuff. But now I look back as an adult, and would I trade it? Never.
Never. Right.
Yeah, never happened. And me and my girls, my friend group, we all pretended to be the Spice Girls. And so and we would pretend to be the Cheetah Girls, right? And so
oh
we'd
my
be
gosh.
Cheetah Girl. And we'd be singing it in the different groups, because we're oh, we're a popular group already. We're 7. And we're oh, we're gonna make it. So at that point, I had my talent, but I also had the confirmation, and then on top of that, I had my friends, and my friends were like, you're going to make it. Oh. So it's okay, so it was very, very nice, a good support group. And then throughout the years, I just kept going to different vocal instructors. So on purpose, because I wanted different styles. So like I learned how to sing opera, I learned how to sing jazz, I learned how to sing pop, and like all from people who like specialized in those fields on top of already having the classical training. Like I learned how to sing do, re, mi, like as the notes versus like, you know, CB, notes, you know, like it was like a totally different vibe. Like it took me a while to get the music theory versus the vocal theory, because the vocal theory was what I was raised on first. So, and then after that, like I was 16 years old, and there is a very embarrassing quote, and I own it. It is in MTV magazine, and it's online. You can find it. And they're like, "What would you do if you meet Steven Tyler when you go on American Idol?" And I was like, "Oh my God, if I meet Steven Tyler, I'm just gonna like die." And it's immortalized on the internet. It's just like, you know, it's
forever. Like it's stuck there.
So of course I made it through, and of course I was able to go onto there, and like I made it through a couple rounds, and then they were like, "We want you to," thank you so much, and they're like, "We want you to get a little older and then come back." So I did, and then I ended up going back on American Idol later. But it's just like so crazy, because that's like that's the progression of like what happened. But again, it started with that planning. It wasn't just like, "Hey, I'm 16 years old. Looks like it's time to go on American Idol," because that was like their cut date at the time. Now it's lower. I think it's like 14. But at the time it was like 16, and then you could go on. And so I was like, you know, not just going in ill prepared. I took years and years and years of, you know, music lessons and performing. And I performed for all these like very, like, again, prestigious places like the Vinoy and all that. So, right. Yeah, exactly. Like, so I did all this awesome stuff. And then after all of that time, and after all, that's whenever I was grateful enough to be able to go on American Idol. And then from there, I did a bunch of other jobs. I kept getting recruited for things, whether or not I wanted it, because it just like popped in my lap. They're like, "Hey, you want to come star in this? Like, want to be in a movie?" Like, you know, stuff like that just kept happening to me. And so I've been in several movies. Actually have a movie coming out soon. I'm supposed to go to the viewing party. You know, it's not like a major film, but you know, it's still a film.
Yeah.
So I've got that viewing party on like the 13th. And then when I turned 18, I got recruited by MTV for this copycat competition. And it was really fun. I got to go on as Jessie J, and they like coached us to like argue with the other competitor, but they gave us the lines. So everybody thinks like, "Oh, they must be so mad at each other." But meanwhile, in the show, like, you know, it's like, "Okay, cut," you know? Like, we're laughing, we're slapping each other's hands like, "Oh, that was such a good dig. Oh, that was so fun. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Yeah, you really got me," you know? So like, it's fun, it's playful. And that's really what inspired my passion, is like, I love that play. So those were the things that led up to those amazing successes. And now after, you know, I actually got to a really good point up until the COVID pandemic. And then obviously, like everyone else, it was like, "And start again," you know? So I took a couple years off. I had my kids. I only just started getting back into the industry a couple of months ago. And girl, I can't even begin to explain. Like you said, you know, it's your faith. It's like, you know, Christ who powers you. I'm in a similar mindset of a spirituality. Mine's a little bit different, but still just believing that I manifest, and like that it just comes to me. I just believe that good things will happen, and they do. And it's like the craziest thing. And I say thank you, and I treat it with gratitude, and then it keeps happening. So yeah, so that's how that all happened. And then in the midst of it, you had also asked about like the languages. So when it came to my second language, okay, so I kind of have to back up. So I said I speak 5, but I actually know more or less 8 languages, but I would say 5 I'm more comfortable in. And then there's a little backstory. So my mom, being the boss queen that she was back in the day, she had a nanny who actually raised me for a fair amount of my life, you know, at the beginning. And so I actually grew up speaking Dutch, but then when my nanny left, I had no one to talk to. So like I kind of like lost it, but I think it really inspired me. I think it really did. It inspired me for higher learning. It inspired me to want to talk to more people. And then when I was in kindergarten, I had this amazing teacher, and every morning before we all got called to our classes, she would run the ABCs in sign language. So, you know, the A, B, C, D, right? And go through the whole thing with us. And so when that happened, I was like, oh, I love this. I want to know more. And one day I was selling chocolate bars or something like that, cookies maybe, you know, for schools like you do.
Yeah.
So I like knocked on someone's door, and it was a deaf woman, and I didn't know any sign language like to the extent, but I knew the ABCs. Mm-hmm. So I was spelling with her the words. I'm like, you know, chocolate, you know, going through it. And she goes, do you want to learn more? And I'm like, yeah, I want to learn more. So she starts hanging out with me and teaching me. Yeah. And it was so nice. And then after a while, I was like, I love this. And because I passed the college entrance exam when I was 14, I started going to college when I was 14, and I got accepted into their program for American Sign Language because I already had a leg up on it. And so then I got trained, and I went to college for that, and I actually became an ASL, or an American Sign Language interpreter. So I did that for a while, and then I worked in politics for a minute to like interpret for politics.
We just gotta pause. We just have to pause. Hold on. I think if anybody is listening or watching this, their mouth is dropping multiple times. Mine is like, wait, what? What? First of all, you glazed over the 14-year-old college student.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't know, like sometimes I feel like it's like whatever, and then I remember I'm like, oh, I guess not. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like, talk about yourself out loud. Like maybe you should just.
You're so sweet. You're boosting me. Thank you for this positive, beautiful energy.
Yes. Like you are amazing. Okay, first of all, okay. I just had to like absorb that and just need to like let it settle, because I feel like you're just gonna compound us with more. So I just wanted that to just settle for a sec. It's settled, you guys. Ready to take on more? Here we go. Zai, next level. Let's off with a little foam, okay?
You're so sweet. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that with all of my heart, because you're right. There is another level.
Incredible. You have an incredible story. Like I just need. I have not heard a lot of people that have incredible stories. I'm intrigued and I'm empowered. I am just motivated. All of the above. Okay. Continue.
No, thank you. Truly, truly, thank you so much. I appreciate that more than you know. But yeah, so like after I became an American Sign Language interpreter, I ended up applying for this program to become an exchange student through the Sister Cities program in Clearwater. You know Clearwater Beach, like
in Florida. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So, so Clearwater, and I did an interview. I got a scholarship, which again, I was a broke child. So, like, even though I did all this work, I was in the starving artist like life. So, I was very grateful for all these scholarships, and I ended up, passing my interview to go to Japan. So, so yeah, they were like, oh, you did great. You got through this. And so after I'd already started college, I was 15, and I was like, oh, I love Japan. And I know a little bit of Japanese from like watching anime. But I was like, I don't really know enough. So I decided to take classes. So I started taking classes, and I learned, the basics, and went to Japan, and everyone was like, oh my God, your Japanese is so good. And I was like, oh, that's the affirmation that I needed, the confirmation to be like, okay, I can do that. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I went to college for that too, and decided to take some classes for college for that. And then of course, there's Duolingo and all these things to just try to keep up on it. But I ended up like being an exchange student. And what was really cool is the point of the program was to empower like the communications, but also like encourage students to have that multicultural embrace, for other countries. And so after I went to Japan, I came back and I did presentations at schools and at high schools to encourage people for, the exploration of communication within different countries. And so it was wonderful. I got to come back and be able to speak some more Japanese and tell people about this. So it was just amazing. So that's how I started with my first 3 languages, because English, I feel like I should have mentioned too, but English was what my parents spoke.
Right.
You know, but also like my parents speak a little bit of Hebrew. So I'm Ashkenazi. So I'm actually, a lot of people think I'm white and like have to be like, I'm actually not. I know I look it, but like I have to like explain. So my dad is Ashkenazi. And like his family was like part from Austria and then Israel, but then our blood ties like are linked back to Africa. So when I tell people like I'm actually like half black, and people just look at me like, okay, no, yeah,
they're like, okay, wait a second, that's where we're going. No, you sis, okay, you got the. It's just the 1 drop rule. You know that, right?
Right.
Rule, so
right, exactly. It just stirs it up and it's good to go. So yeah, exactly. So like I grew up speaking Hebrew too. So you know, my dad was a rabbi. So but he was a messianic rabbi. So he was a Christian who came from Judaism and you know kind of sprinkled it together because they're very, you know, in the same book. So he ended up adapting Jesus. He's like, yeah, Jesus is Savior. So, you know, so I was raised with that. So I like sang some Hebrew, would speak some Hebrew, learned how to pray in Hebrew, but I never like went to Hebrew classes. So like I can like kind of get it, but I don't like to pretend like, yeah, I can speak Hebrew. Yeah. And then somebody comes out, like, cause I've had friends like besties that are, you know, literally from Israel, and they're trying to talk to me, you know, in Hebrew. And I'm like, yeah, I got half of that. So like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so like that's kind of with the Hebrew, but so let's see here. The first 3. Okay, so the 4th one is German. I started learning German last year. So yeah, Freut mich, ich bin sei. So yeah, so like I started learning German because I was like, I want to go to Germany. So I'm still planning on going to Germany, but I started learning that. And then of course I started learning Korean because my little weeboo heart is so thank you. Although it's funny because everyone says Japanese is harder than Korean, but I gotta be honest, like for me, Korean's way harder. And because I got interested in it, like my partner got interested in it, and so they started learning. So it's amazing. So that's like the story of like the multicultural / and then of course, because I was saying, right, growing up, I was singing, and you learn how to sing in Italian because if you've been trained in opera, Ave Maria, la la, you know, right? So like all the same stuff. And then I also just fell in love with some Italian bands. So I'd start singing their songs. I fell in love with some Polish singers. So I started singing their songs. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like a little mixed pot. But if you ever hear me like
all over the world, and I love that. I love that. No, I do. Like, so I love your story. Oh my.
You're so sweet.
My mind is blown right now. So a little bit about me. I have a travel company. So like I have this travel company. We've hosted like 12 retreats all around the world. So next year we're doing, well, we were going to do Israel. We're obviously not doing Israel, but we're doing Japan. We're doing Morocco. We did Egypt. We did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're doing Ghana next, in December. I have 2 clients that are going to Dubai and then Zanzibar literally next week, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so like, so I can appreciate a well-traveled person, like, and someone that, you know, that speaks multiple languages, that can think from different perspectives. Like, I am genuinely like you know, if you know multiple languages, you understand multiple perspectives, because like, not every word translates. So like you kind of have to know, you know, like how to shift a language so that it makes sense for someone else. And it's kind of like how your mind has to shift to understand someone else too, even in our own language. Like we can't even communicate.
No, right? And I'm sure, because I believe, are you Canadian or American? Because I know American. Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. Because like I know our company, we have a lot of Canadians in our company, so I never want to assume. But you know what it's like living in America. It's like, even though there's so much good, there's also so much, you know, and like the understanding of being like, hey, let's vibe over different perspectives. I feel like it's so underrated and undervalued, because, you know, a lot of people in America, they just only get stuck in their perspective. They don't have that world traveled perspective. And I'm so right there with you. And that's wonderful that you have a company that does that. Like, virtual high fives.
High five. Love that for us. Okay. Hey, crazy sunflower girl. All right, so let's dive into your work. What is it that you do? What are you doing these days? You mentioned you're a singer, you're an actress, you're in a movie, you're in something you can't even tell us about. But you're on some show that you're on an NDA for. What do you do? Tell us about you, Zai, the current human. What is it?
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind. Okay, so as you, I'm sure, have gathered, I'm a multifaceted kind of person, right? I try to have that well-rounded energy. Although I've got to say, like, going back to the American thing, it makes me laugh all the time because, like, I have tattoos and stuff, and so people will look at me and be like, "Oh, what could she possibly be doing in her work life?" And I'm over here like, like, so. I actually, so I've got a couple of things that I currently do. So besides being a full-time mommy, so I am a singer. So I'm a professional singer. I go to different, places and I sing, whether it be, at a large stage or for television, or like opening up for somebody. Usually I'm the main act. It's very rare that I would be opening, but here and there, like once in a while. I've also been very like grateful, lucky. Like I've been invited to places like the Grammys just because, like, random stuff. So I sing. I also like model. So I do that on the side as well and act, like we've mentioned before. But here's the things that you don't know. So the other thing I do is I'm a professional fire thrower. So I actually, so professionally, I work with fire and I play with things that are lit on fire. My personal instrument of choice is called a dragon staff, and it's a long baton that has 5 different spokes on the end of each side.
Yeah, I told you I go to Dubai frequently. We watch fire shows all day.
Yeah, so that's something
fire magic.
Yes, it's on fire.
Like fire? I'm like, fire.
Exactly. And, fire fans on occasion or poi balls, like, the big balls of fire. I work with those too, which, I like to say I'm more proficient in my dragon staff. I can really go at it. The poi balls scare me just because when they pop back, you've got to really be careful, but I do that as well. And then, on top of being a singer and a dancer and a fire performer, I actually professionally train dogs. So I worked on a farm for a lot of years on top of everything else. And I used to train horses. And then I realized that I was good at it. So I was like, well, I think I want to train dogs too. And so I started doing that professionally. And I haven't had an unhappy client yet, so I think I'm okay at it. So that's kind of fun because I love dogs. So I train dogs, I help people with their dogs. And then the last thing that I've been currently doing is I just finished writing a 500-page book, and I'm going to be publishing it.
So one in my comments just said, she is well-rounded. You have no idea. You missed the first, if you're just joining, you missed the first 45 minutes of this, where every other comment is literally like a fun fact. Like, it's 5 languages. It's like 19 different countries. It's like 42 states. And she was on American Idol. All of these things. Okay, it's just a list of fun facts. She just got to the fire, horse training, and a book, author book. I told you guys we had to settle. Yes, we speak other languages: Japanese, Korean, Hebrew, American Sign Language, and Dutch.
Okay. You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
That's how impressed I am. I just committed all of that to memory. I know you.
You're so kind. Thank you. Well, I feel the same way, guys, because Letitia has a phenomenal business that she actually inspires other boss babes to go and do. Like, she's actually the queen of her own company, which, by the way, all right, you gotta work hard in a man's world, all right? Right? Like, yeah, and you work hard and you're getting it.
By the grace of God, I just, by the grace of God, I don't know. But anyway. All right, so 500-page book. Talk to us.
Okay, so I'm very excited about this book, actually, for a number of reasons. The first is that, obviously it's my brainchild, it's my project, it's my baby. But the reason I'm excited about it is because, among the other things I'm passionate about, I'm very, very passionate about health. I'm very passionate about like pharmaceutical misuse and good use, right? So like we've got a lot of bad pharmaceutical companies, unfortunately. So the thing is that I was led on this inspired journey after having my children, realizing that our food is poison. And I was like, wait, what? Things like red dye 40 is actually a compound made from carmine. Carmine is the female of the subspecies cochineal. Cochineal is the direct subspecies relation to cockroaches. So when you eat red dye 40, it's the blood of a cockroach. Yeah. I'm so sorry. And it's
I wasn't prepared for that.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't either. When I found out what we consume in America, I was like, okay, like I genuinely understand, because when you hear red dye 40, you're like, red dye 40, it must be a chemical compound or something, right? Well, the lawyers in America have this law where they can bypass concerning, FDA regulations. If you name something in a way that doesn't fully tell you what the thing is, it's okay. So for example, did you know that when you drink Starbucks drinks that are made with strawberry's a color, not the fruit, the color of strawberry. It's cockroaches. Yes.
Well, yes. I've been on so I follow this girl that did a whole rant on Starbucks. I had to give it up. I was like, okay, all right, we're done. We're just done. So you're literally confirmation. You're confirmation of my giving up of Starbucks. So.
Oh, well, good, because I'm sorry that I already hurt you with the red dye 40, but I'm going to go ahead and give you one more thing. Same thing, Starbucks. For example, have you ever heard of confectioner's glaze?
Wait, what?
Confectioner's glaze. Have you ever heard of confectioner's?
It sounds a little bit too familiar. It sounds
too familiar, right?
So it's delicious. It sounds
things like yes, it's like jelly beans, right? It's like jelly beans, chocolate covered almonds, for example, at Starbucks, things like that. Confectioner's glaze is the pretty little label that they give Thai insect poop. So there is a particular, yes, I know, I'm so sorry. There's a particular bug in Thailand that when it secretes its waste, it hardens. And when it hardens, it has a compound that really holds things together. And so they add it to different confectionery things like sweets in order to make it last longer. You know, when you bite into a jelly bean, how it has the hard casing on it?
Not anymore.
Yeah. So when I started learning these things, I was like, I need to write a book. I was like, I need to write a book.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I need to write a book about everything I'm discovering. I need to make people informed. But how do I write a book that informs people about the deadly things that are happening? Number one, without getting sued. Number two, without making people go, ew, I'm learning and I don't feel like that. I want to have fun time. I don't want to have to think about this. How could I present it in a way that would make it easy for all consumers in a fun, fictitious plan, right? In a fun way that you get to learn about it through a story, right? Cool. So it's like, okay, I'm going to make a book that's based on all real facts using fictional characters in a fictional storyline. Oh. My book is called Ducked Up. That's DUCKED UP, right? Okay.
I dabble in the language, so I know
that's fantastic. Well, anytime you want to sign with me, please, that would be phenomenal.
Yes.
Yes. So I was like, how can I do this? So the name of the book is Ducked Up, but the reason that it's called Ducked Up is because, have you ever heard of like a rubber ducky?
Yeah.
Okay. Rubber duckies are not made of rubber. Okay. Rubber duckies are actually made of a chemical compound that is incredibly toxic, especially for children. Who do we give rubber duckies to?
Literally my kids last night in the bath.
In the bath. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you some things. So everybody get your seatbelt on because we're coming.
Boy, just Share Bear, Miss. A lot of people in the comments like that, like, wow, what is happening?
I know, right? Like, oh my God. Because what's so wild is this, right? So when you have a rubber ducky, it's made with a particular kind of latex, and they spray it with something called phthalates. Phthalates are an incredibly toxic chemical, and get this, it's water soluble. So it falls off of the duck when it's introduced to water. Where do rubber duckies live? Right? And what's the first thing that a baby does? Right in the mouth, right? They always take the duck and they chew on it because that's what a baby does. And it actually causes infertility. It causes asthma. It causes the list is huge of the things that it causes, right? It's horrendous. So I named this book Ducked Up because it was inspired by the idea of the rubber ducky. So in the book, again, it has all these different things, and all these different things pertain to real facts. You can easily look it up on Google. It takes 2 seconds, and you're going to see that what I wrote was real. But here's where the fictional story comes in. So the book, on top of everything else for the purpose of education, is particularly to inspire women of color. So it's all the main characters are like women of color. They're all BIPOC women. And then I have like a couple of people who are of white ethnicity.
Because you are a woman of color, do you identify as a woman of color?
I do. Oh yeah, okay. I do. And I have to, because
that in case there's somebody in my comments like, wait, why?
So. Right. Yeah. So I identify as a woman of color because I am a woman of color, even though my color is pretty thin. Yeah. But if I get in the sun, girl, it changes.
Yeah, you got melanin, you'll get a night. Yeah, you got
right,
the
melanin. Exactly. But when it comes to my genetic standing, for example, when when I got pregnant, there are particular tests that have to be utilized for people who are Ashkenazi because it's a separate ethnicity. So, I mean, when you look at my documentation, like if you look on my government documentation, it doesn't say what.
Got you.
Right. So, and genetically, I'm, predisposed to different conditions versus like a typical white person. So, and I have had these different struggles in my life, even though I recognize my white privilege for what I look like, and I check that privilege and I utilize it for the good. I also understand that I've been put in positions where I am disenfranchised for other things, for not being like, for lack of a better term, a pure blood, which sounds terrible, because that's how it feels like. I feel like we're all like in Harry Potter in America, and there's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's like muggles and like wizards and witches. Like that's like how it feels.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, I think so. I get the context. I'm like reading between lines.
The context is like that, people are still very into the idea of like racism being alive and well, and it's unfortunate and it's horrible, but as you know, if you're educated and you're aware, that's how you can stop it, because you can understand the preconceived bias to be able to stop the everything. So when it came to this book, I wrote it about a beautiful, beautiful Thai woman who was a young girl in a made-up mythological village in Thailand. And basically what happens is Arinya, she is living with her family when she has a ceremony that comes up to become a woman. So there are ceremonies for men in Thailand, but there were no ceremonies for women. And so in the book, the first thing that I do is Arinya empowers her village to include women in their ceremonies for becoming an adult, to give women equality in Thailand.
Very interesting.
So that's like how it starts, right? Is she fights for equality, she gets it, she goes on this amazing journey, but she gets attacked by a sun bear. And when she gets attacked brutally and goes back to her village, she explains to her parents that, this bear, it wasn't the bear's fault. There was poachers, the bear was blind, the bear was hungry. And when the dad hears that, oh no, there's poachers, he has a herd of bison, and he can't allow people to be poaching on his land. Unfortunately, Daddy gets shot by the poachers, which leaves Mom in a bad position and has to ask Arinya, as the oldest child, to go work for what they perceive is a benevolent billionaire on a small island, short boat ride away, called the factory. And when she gets to the factory, she goes through a list of things, different steps where she has to go through different divisions. And as she becomes more and more educated through the divisions, as she becomes promoted through the company, each step in each division talks about different unethical practices that are practiced here in America and all across the world. And I talk about all the real companies. So I name drop. I talk about Skittles. I talk about Martha Stewart. I talk about Nestle. I talk about how Nestle's poisoning the water. I talk about all these different things that, once again, quick Google search, and it's real.
Wow.
So I don't want to give away the whole thing, but what I will say,
we gotta go get the book now. When's the book drop? This is so good. When's the book drop?
So the book drop is probably going to be in a month or so. I'm making an executive decision because I was waiting for a couple of publishing agents to get back to me, but at this point, I have been contacted by some casting agencies that have some pull for marketing. and they liked the idea too. I was actually like, for example, talking to this casting agent about a completely different thing. And as she was talking to me, she was like, you wrote a book? Can you tell me what that's about? And so I'm like, sure. So I start telling her about the book and she goes, yo, I work for Dr. Phil. I work for a bunch of other companies. Can you please release the book so that I can pitch you? And so I was like, I guess I'm going to self-publish now. So
you got to self-publish. So is the book going to be on Amazon?
It will be. Yep. It's going to be on Amazon. I'm going to make sure that it gets into all the stores because I personally want a book signing at my awesome Barnes & Noble store that like I grew up with. Like that's my heart. That's my home. I want to go there and be like signing books at my favorite bookstore. Yeah. Thank you. So like it's really interesting. And like I said, like it's a lot more than even just that storyline. There's so many diverse characters because
I'm excited.
I'll just like, I'll tell you, I won't go into their storyline, but I'll tell you. So I have a trans woman from Finland and we talk about, and we talk about how there's actually like a sterilization law for people who are trans in Finland that's mandatory. So we talk about that because that's whack. And then I talk about how like Native Americans are treated because I have a character that's Native American. I have a person that's actually bioengineered who was never like actually born, but actually created in a dish, which is more common than people know.
That is horrible. I'm actually 50% Native American.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Blackfoot. Hey, let's go, guys. Let's go, tribe.
Yes, that's phenomenal. My son is actually part Native American too. His dad is, so that's really awesome. Yeah, so I make sure to bring up all those things. I talk about, the native reserves, the way that America treats their natives and everything. So I go into that for her storyline. And then I also have a non-binary Chinese guy. I say guy, but, person, I should say non-binary, Chinese.
I hear that guy is a non-binary word.
It is. Yeah, I know. That's what I heard too. Like, just like dude, like whenever you say dude and bro can also be like a girl or boy or whatever. Yeah. So there's like that. And then I have like a couple of different other characters as well. I have a beautiful Black American deaf girl who is a cyber hacker. And so she's very intelligent, and she's like a techie. So I've got her in there. So I have all these different various characters. I try to include as much diversity as I possibly can. And this is just the first book out of 3. So the first book, it's going to be a series. Yeah, so it'll be a series. But the thing is that like the first book is like more tame, even though when you read it, it's a little psychological thriller.
Like the word tame is not tame. Like you got layers.
Right, exactly. Lots and lots of layers. So, but the reason I say that is because in the second book, I get into witches and vampires and werewolves and talking about the mythology of those. And then by the third book, we're talking about aliens, which is hilarious because I had already planned this book before America was like, by the way, we have aliens. Like, I was laughing my butt off because I'm like, I already had this book planned where it's like America talks about how aliens are like a thing and releases it. And then I was like, oh, well, that's perfect because I was already going to write that book. Right. So like, it's got this like fluidity. And there's obviously great characters that you fall in love with. There's characters that you hate, but you love to hate them. And so there's all of that. And there's also a very adorable pug named Snoodle. So, so that's just like the basis of it. I won't give the rest away, but the little sound clip is, as Arena becomes more and more complicit in the atrocities that the factory produces, she has to make a Sophie's choice. Who does she save? Her family or her soul?
Oh, what? Wow. Wow. Hold on. Let me get all the way into this book. Love this.
Thank you.
So I know we're like at time, but I gotta get into, like, you have just peeled back every layer of the onion and we're just like, dabbling on it all. Like, we're just literally trying to feast on it all. I'm full, but not full enough. I'm not full enough for dessert. I'm here for the dessert. So tell me, like, how do you balance all of, like, how? And you kind of segued into this at the very top of the show where you talked, about your kids and how you have to have balance, but what, like, literally, what does that look like for you? Like, I'm like, first of all, do you have 24 hours in your day like I do? Because, like, Like you're writing books, you're taking care of the horses.
Oh my God,
You're throwing fire. You're keeping all the like. I'm just. What do you do to balance? What do you do to balance? Talk to us because we need to get on your level.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Okay, so this is actually something I'm very passionate about as well. So I really appreciate that question because when it comes to life, right, in general, we as people only have so much steam, right? That's like the point of it is like you only have so much to go. You only have so much energy, and you have to be careful how you divide your energy so that you're not depleted. Yeah. So something that I actually is more in line with blue zone living. If you're familiar with the terminology, blue zone, are you familiar? Okay, so blue zone living is particular areas on the face of this earth have longer lifespans than anywhere else.
Yes. I've heard of this. Okay, yes. I watched a Netflix documentary about this.
Right, the documentary, it's so good. And you notice in the documentary, it talks about how you have to have certain facets to have a successful or a happy or a healthy life. Yes. Right? So there's diet and obviously like exercise, which every doctor on the face of the planet will tell you. Right. At least if they're a good doctor. And then you have to have community. You have to have a support group. You have to have family. The other thing that ties us together is faith. Any faith, whether it just be a shared commonality, having something that drives you to push you further. And then obviously making sure that you have some form of shelter, etc. Right? So those are like more or less the things that create a stable, healthy, long-lived human. Yeah. So when it comes to my own personal life, I try my hardest to first of all think of it like a couple of things. The first is recognizing that you as a person are not a pizza pie. And what I mean by that is when you have a pie and you're eating a pizza and someone goes and they're like, I'm going to take a slice and I'm going to take it and I'm going to bring it over here, right? Like maybe it's your love for work, love for your kids, whatever it be, right? And then as you take more slices away, the pizza becomes empty. Mm-hmm. When you realize that that's not how humans are much more than that, right? We have so much more to give. The truth is that we're like a river or like a flowing, gushing water. We can be replenished, we can be replaced, but if we are filling our cups, then we can overflow. And so the key is keeping your cup full. How do we keep our cups full? That goes back to what we were talking about with that self-care. If you are caring for what is intrinsic values to you, you are going to be able to do all the other things. So if you're living in alignment with your personal values, and that doesn't mean everybody has the same values. I mean, you are the person who knows your body. You're the person that knows your heart, right? You live your own experience. And so if you're living within that value system where you're not betraying yourself or doing something that you hate, don't like, feel like you're forced to do, right? If you're balancing within yourself, you're taking that time to make sure that you're doing something you like. It could be watching TV. It could be hiking up a mountain. It could be, riding down a roller coaster. Whatever it is that makes you feel full is how you're going to have that extra flowing water to pour out into other parts of your life, right? And that's how you keep your love cup overflowing. So first, recognizing that we have that potential to give and give and give, as long as you're also giving to yourself. Right. You have to give to yourself first before you can outpour to really anybody else. So for example, if there's a job and it comes to me and I'm tired, guess what? I come first. Yes, that job will happen. No, it's not happening right now. Oh, I've got to clean my house, but I'm not feeling good. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will have to make time. You're forced to make time for your illness.
Ooh. That's a word. Wait a second. That's a word, you guys.
Thank you.
You gotta say it again. You gotta repeat that.
Yes. So if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Either way, you're gonna take the time. It's just how you want to spend it. So not waiting until you're so depleted that you're like, I just ran a marathon. I really should stop here and drink some water. No, you got to keep updated with yourself every day. Some people use meditation. Some people use prayer. Some people use singing. It just depends on who you are as a person, what fulfills you, what fills those needs, right? And if you're able to do that and start with yourself and give yourself self-love, that's when you can outpour. When these things that happen in our lives that create mental illness, the reason that we call it mental illness, right, is because it means that we're not feeling good inside of our bodies. There's something that's going amiss. So if you want to become mentally well, guess who you've got to focus on? Yeah. It's not, oh, I'm really depressed, but as long as my boyfriend treats me well, then it's okay. No, right? Oh, well, I'm really upset, but if my job just did better by me, right? You have to start by doing better by yourself first. Giving that love to yourself first. That is what's going to enable you. And understanding that you don't have to, like, what's that phrase? Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither was a person. A person is not the full compilation of themselves within a day. Give yourself that opportunity. Sometimes I'll be like, on one day, I'm going to work on a book. On another day, I'm going to work on a singing gig. On another day, I'm going to go train a dog. On another day, maybe for an hour, I'll go spin some fire. You get to accomplish all the things that you want, but in a way that is sustainable for you. Some people can put more into a day than others can, but that's on them. Yeah. Everybody has to go to their pace. And by accepting what your pace is where your success comes. Because a person who's burning themselves out long before they can become the cultivation of what kind of person that they are or that they can be, if they're burning themselves before they can get there, of course they're not going to reach their potential. The potential comes in the understanding that you can love yourself where you're at. Maybe there's a day where you feel like a little gremlin and you're eating a bowl of ice cream watching TV. I know I have. Okay. My partner had actually written and made fun of me in a cute way because I was eating a bowl of ice cream once and I look at the TV and I was like crying and I was like, yeah, I'm a baddie. I'm a bad bitch. And I'm like eating the ice cream because the truth is that the success of a person isn't if they're in sweatpants or if they're tattooed or if they're one color or another or one race or another or one religion or another. The success comes when you have decided already, I am successful. Amen. Because I have said so, because I choose to be, because I speak life, because I speak that life into existence, right? Aren't you the one who also said, right? The power of life and death is in the
power of your tongue. Power of your tongue.
Right? Yeah. So when you realize those things and whenever you put that side of time, and that's why, again, that scheduling is so very important for having that success. And then guess what? Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes it's like, oh, I overscheduled. Giving yourself that grace instead of pushing yourself to go do the thing. You're like, a failed plan is a failed plan. So what? As long as you don't give up, it's not failure. Failure only exists whenever you've completely given up on something. If you don't give up, there's no such thing. There's only mistakes and lessons to be made. That's it. So that's some of the things that at least that I have utilized in my own life. And this is coming from a survivor of domestic violence and all kinds of things. Because growing up wasn't all peaches and roses. I did a lot of wonderful things growing up, but that doesn't mean my family was by any means perfect. And realizing that there's always good things that can come out of bad. There's always a positive lining that you can reach. There's always something that you can look at in your life and be like, oh yeah, you know what? I had this really bad experience, but guess what? I learned I'm not going to do that again. And accept that for yourself. The problem with not succeeding too comes with the guilt and the shame and the blame that we put on ourselves for not being our version of perfect. Wow. Right?
So true. So right? True.
And here's the thing. Psychologists have proven this. Guilt is a useless emotion.
Wow.
Guilt is only for the sake of manipulation and hurt. There is no positive benefit to guilt. That's why in most religions and most belief systems, they say you have to let go of that guilt and that shame and give yourself mercy and grace. Is because guess what? Psychologically, that guilt does nothing for you. It doesn't encourage you. It doesn't empower you. Not only does it hold you back, but it tears you down. Right. If you want to be your best success, you've got to stop looking at yourself like your own worst enemy and instead look at yourself as your best friend.
Yes.
How would you treat your best friend? Treat yourself that way.
Yes. There's that. You have been amazing. Like, I mean, like seriously. not. And just for context, right? I've been with LiveWave for like 2 months now. I'm still trying to find my lane. Like, I know what I do, and I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm just going to do what I do. And podcasting is one of them. And this is the first time that I've done my podcast on TikTok. So you're like, I mean, first of all, you set the bar. I don't even know.
You're so sweet.
God bless the second person that comes after you. I'll be like, but how many languages do you speak? One is.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be like, but where's the book that you're writing?
Right? Well, just remember this too, that everybody has their beautiful part, right? And remember that there is room for everyone, right? So there's always room for everyone. And if you don't view it as a competition, but instead as a way to build community, and there's one other phrase that I think might be good. I think I saw it in your eyes that you're like, oh, little nugget. I'm going to take that nugget. That's a good nugget, right? So this is a good nugget that I learned a couple years ago, and I haven't let go. And what it is if you love your enemies, you won't have any.
Yep, that's it.
So if you realize that there's room for everyone, I mean, obviously that's such a beautiful comment too, and I really sincerely appreciate you, but I gotta say, like, everybody has to start somewhere, and, I'd rather make a friend than a competitor any day of the week. So I think that they're gonna do just great because you are wonderful, and you are great, and you're gonna bring it every time, regardless of me, so.
So my son is screaming right now.
I totally understand. I have 2 of them, no problem. So
I want to close us though in the right way. Let me just calm him down for a sec. Come here, baby.
No, family first, always. In the meantime, I'll answer some of these comments.
Yeah, go for it.
Trey, what's up, Trey? You said, hey, beautiful, how are you doing? I am fabulous, Trey. Thank you so much for asking. Today has been incredible. I literally couldn't have asked for a better day if I tried. I see that. Wow, we have so many wonderful people popping in the live feed right here, right now. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening to me yammer on. I sincerely appreciate you all, each and every one of you. Will, you said some beautiful things as well. I'm trying to find your comment. My gosh, we've had so many people pop on this feed. This is so good. Said goddesses, hashtag goddesses. Very, very sweet. Thank you. I'll take that to the bank. Wow. I love listening to you talk. It is just amazing. You are so captivating. Wow. Will, thank you so much. That's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. Proper preparation promotes proper performance. Ooh, that's a good one.
Hold on, I have to come back for that. That was good.
Right? Yeah. So Will said proper preparation promotes proper performance. Ooh, I like that. That is so, so good. Oh my gosh. Wow, guys. Oh, 2 new messages. Hold up. We're going to see it here. Wow. People are popping in like crazy. Wow, guys. I'm just so grateful. Whoop. Hold on. Almost crossed us out there. Whoopsie doopsie. Did it again. And then I think I just missed one other comment. I swear I'm scrolling back. I know we talked for a while. You guys are wonderful listeners. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Tonight was a little different. I'm sure that you guys noticed, but I appreciate you guys for hanging in there. On Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, I sometimes sing. So I think they're like, the girl is talking, but not singing. Question mark. Natalie has a beautiful smiley face. Thank you so much, Natalie. That's so kind of you. And I think I covered all of the little in-betweens there, guys. Woo, made it work.
Aww.
Thank you guys so much.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the time. And yeah, I'm totally joking about the next person. I love and appreciate everyone who takes the time. I'm just appreciative that you wanted to be on this podcast. I'm excited about it. So it will be live, and I'll share the link with you once it's ready. And just to get to know you has been great. So I'm excited because anybody I meet, and I learn about, and I tell people about, I let them know, hey, you're stuck with me. Hi.
I will take it. Are you kidding? That's wonderful.
Zai, you're stuck with me. I'm just letting you know we're friends now.
No, I will take it. Thank you. Yes, please. You're a phenomenal human. Oh my God.
Yeah, everybody. Until next time, keep working, keep hustling, keep balancing. I'm your host, Leticia Lux. This is my life. Bye, guys.
Bye. Go be a boss, babe.